Just like every other human being, your brand also has its personality. It has emotions, it has sentiments and feelings also. But can it really communicate? Can it really express? Yes, your brand can do that with the help of brand voice. Now, what is brand voice? Brand voice is the most important element in your branding, and at the same time, it is the most ignored element also in your branding. Most of the business owners, they give focus only on the visual identity, right? When they are creating their brand identity. They focus on logo, they focus on colors, they focus on typography, or maybe some more such elements, right? But they always forget that the brand is not just something which people can see. People would love to communicate with your brand, and that is where they would understand the true nature of your business. So, when your brand interacts with your target audience, your prospects, or with your existing customers, so they create a perception about your brand. They understand its temperament. Your brand could be a naughty brand, it could be a very serious or a professional brand, it could be, you can say, a knowledgeable brand, right? But how all these things happen? How do they, understand the true nature of your brand? So before we understand that what is brand voice, we need to understand that how it is different from tagline, brand communication strategy, and the messaging. Most of the times people they get confused. They consider that brand voice is the same thing, right? But I'll tell you that all these things are different. When we are creating a tagline or a position line or a brand statement, that is something which reflects our core philosophy, or maybe it's talking about the core problems that we want to solve, right? It could be talking about your core values also. It could be talking about your mission or vision, right? But brand voice is different. Brand voice is your feeling. It's about your emotion. It's about your mood. It's about your temperament. Maybe you are solving one problem, which is being solved by the other brand also, right? So both the brands are solving the common problem, but their temperament could be different. Some brands are very energetic, right? So some brands are cold in temperament. Some brands are aggressive, right? So it depends that how you communicate, how you express those things, and it has to be consistently followed. If you have decided that your brand voice would be maybe aggressive, then it has to be bold and aggressive. If you have decided that it is going to be authoritative, then it must be authoritative across all platforms. The second part comes where the confusion gets created. That's about the brand communication strategy, right? When we talk about the communication strategy, so yes, brand voice is a part of the communication strategy. But if we say that brand voice and brand communication strategy, they both are same things, no, they are different. Because the communication strategy is, wider aspect. It covers overall communication strategy. That how would you communicate? Which channels will you use? Which platforms will you use, right? And what type of content you're gonna create. So communication strategy is overall strategy for your total brand communication, right? But brand voices, again, you have to focus about the expression. That is more about the sentiments. That is more about the emotions. That is more about feelings, right? And third element where the people they get confused, they relate brand voice with the messaging. So this feeling is getting expressed or conveyed through a messaging. But I'll tell you, the right messaging is where your customer understands that what you are going to communicate. If you want to sell, your product and services to your customers, and there are 10, you can say the benefits, but you want to highlight one benefit, and your customer understand that one core benefit and is ready to buy your product or service, that means your messaging was correct. If you are not able to communicate that core element to your uh, customer or to your target audience, that means there is problem with your messaging. Suppose there are again coming back to the same example, your products and services, they have 10 different features, but you want to highlight only one, but you are not able to do that. So that means your messaging is not correct, right? And again, your target audience is getting confused because they are seeing your 10 different benefits or features. But what is the core uh, benefit that you want to highlight? That gets diluted. So that means the problem is with the messaging. So that's not a brand voice issue. That's not a brand voice problem. So again, the brand voice, here also you have to understand that in your messaging also, the brand voice plays a different role. Messaging would communicate the right message, and the brand voice would add the emotion in that message. So here you have to understand that brand voice is just like your own way of communication, the way you communicate with your friends, family members, and with your colleagues, or maybe your professional, in your professional environment. So the same way your brand would communicate with your prospects, with your existing customers, right? So that is brand voice. And when you are, focusing about creating a brand positioning, you want that your brand should be there in the minds of your target audience, and you want to create a recall value, then you must focus on having a strong brand voice. And don't ignore this element. Don't always focus only on the visual identity, because this is an important element which can take your brand to the next level.